Today we're taking a look at the top 5 brawlers in Brawl Stars. Let's jump into it. So starting off with a few honorable mentions before we get into the actual top 5. A few brawlers that just missed out. Starting off with Jean. Jean, of course, going to be really good in this type of meta, but didn't quite make the top 5. The next honorable mention goes to B. B is extremely good right now. Really good at countering things like Poco, Max, and Bonnie, which we see a ton of right now, and just countering kind of aggressive comps in general. The next mention goes to Griff. I feel like Griff is so strong right now. A ton of people use him, especially to counter those brawlers like Carl, but also use them with like B to kind of break up the map and stuff like that. Griff, definitely a really good option right now. The next mention goes to Nita. So Nita had some insane buffs in the recent balance changes, making it easier to get that bear, doing a little more damage, which has really helped Nita become really meta across a ton of different maps and modes. Yeah, Nita, very strong right now. And the final mention going to the newest brawler in the game, Sam. Some pros calling Sam the best brawler in the game. I don't have Sam, but I have played Sam quite a few times in different Power League games, and he does feel pretty strong, but I'd say it's a bit too early to call him the best brawler in the game. Okay, so coming in at number 5, then we have Poco. So Poco got some pretty big buff to his attack damage in the recent update, but also Crow was nerfed. That slow kind of Crow gadget was also nerfed, and that was a really big counter to Poco. So that's another reason we see a ton of Poco. But in general, you're going to want to use Poco in those kind of aggressive comps with brawlers like Max and tanks in general. Poco's going to be very good with. Also, I feel like Poco's very good on those kind of gem grab maps and Brawl maps that are kind of shorter range and stuff like that. And even on bounty maps, potentially like Canal Grande, where if you pair, say, Poco with a tank or something, that's also going to be pretty effective. But in general, on those shorter range maps with the aggressive brawlers, Poco is going to be incredibly strong. Okay, so at number 4, we have Carl. So Carl obviously got a pretty small buff to his HP in the recent changes. That's definitely, you know, knocked him down the rankings a little bit. But also, I feel like there's just a lot of counters to Carl. You don't ever want to pick him first pick. You have stuff like Colette, Griff, Gale, Jean even kind of counters Carl. So a ton of different counters. Means you don't want to pick him first, but he is going to be usable across all the modes. Pretty much usable in every single map. Even on maps like Shooting Star, you know, you can play him mid, or maybe you can play him lane, and then just, you know, Canal Grande. A lot of heist maps, pretty much, well, every heist map, Hot Potato, Kaboom Canyon, you can play Carl on these maps. And obviously in Gem Grab and Brawl, Carl is also a really good option as well. So yeah, Carl can be pretty much found everywhere, and I feel like he is still very strong even after the nerf. Okay, so coming in at number 3, we have Bonnie. So Bonnie also got a recent nerf in the last set of balance changes. That was a small HP nerf to Clyde, which is basically the long range version of the Bonnie Clyde combo. So yeah, this is a little small nerf. Hasn't really been too like felt, just because Bonnie had so much HP, or Clyde I should say had so much HP, that you kind of don't really realize that you have, you know, a little less, because you have so much for a long range brawler anyway. But yeah, Bonnie really good in every single mode, usable in a ton of different maps and mode. Really versatile. Obviously can have a few counters, those brawlers which are good at dealing a lot of damage, like Colette and B are going to be pretty strong against Bonnie, but Bonnie in general a very strong pick on a ton of different maps and modes. Okay, then so coming in at number 2, we have Max. So Max actually kind of received an indirect buff by Crow Slow getting nerfed, because everyone knows the number 1 counter in the game to Max was that Crow Slow, and now it was reduced from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. We see a ton more Max in the meta, but also Poco being really strong as well. Poco Max is a very strong kind of synergy, has a really strong synergy, and also the game being kind of more aggressive as well also suits Max. So I feel like we see a lot more Max for a few different reasons. But yeah, Max pretty much usable on every single mode and map. Super versatile. Again, pretty similar theme with all these brawlers being extremely versatile on a ton of different maps and modes, meaning that they kind of score highly. Of course, the game modes usable. Of course, you know, usually you play someone like Max in Gem Grab and Brawl, but also you can play Max on modes like Knockout, Bounty, and Heist on the right maps. So of course, at number 1, that leaves us with Janet, who has been so strong in this meta. Did actually receive some nerfs in the recent balance changes, with a small nerf to base HP, and that supercharge rate being nerfed from 5 shots to 6 shots. But yeah, honestly, hasn't really made too much of an impact. You still see Janet absolutely everywhere, usable across all the modes. Not too good in Heist. I'd say that's definitely Janet's worst mode. But yeah, apart from that, you're going to see Janet across the board on all the maps in the game, I would say, because Janet is just a super well-rounded brawler, doesn't really get countered by anything. So yeah, Janet so strong in this meta. Subscribe, code Tom. Peace.